If you're thinking of watching Studio 666, the Foo Fighters horror movie, don't. But if you do, just go in with a fun attitude and thinking that this is just going to be a silly, fun rock movie. Because that's basically what it is. There's not a real solid story. It's kind of just the Foo Fighters trying to make a horror movie. Because as I was watching this movie, I started to think maybe Dave Grohl really wanted to make a horror movie, but just couldn't get it approved by any major studio. And the only way he can make this movie is if the rest of the Foo Fighters were involved in it. Because the movie starts out kind of strong and the premise seems really there. But once we start to dive into the aspects of horror and the jump scares and like what's really supposed to make this movie scary, the blood and the guts and those things, it just starts to go downhill real fast. But the movie does have a couple of really cool cameos that keep you interested and keep it lighthearted, like Lionel Richie, Winnie Cummings, Jenna Ortega, Will Forte, and more. But as I continued to watch the movie, it just felt like we started out with kind of a cool, professional, polished idea, and we dove deeper and deeper into a couple of guys that were just trying to have fun making a horror movie. It kind of feels like about 45 minutes in that they kind of just gave up, or that they realized that the budget they're working with just wasn't that much, because all of this takes place in basically two locations. And when you have two locations, it's not a lot of stuff you can really do when it comes to writing. And so you might jump around a lot with the story or with how things are being filmed because it's all you got to work with. And the acting from the band is okay, and at other times just bad. Like, I don't think anyone in the Foo Fighters is considered a professional actor. I don't expect them to act great, but I think they all were capable of better acting if they had a little bit better writing and maybe could have shot on a couple of different locations, because it just seems like they get kind of bored and kind of give up a little bit. Now, Dave Grohl, he does a great job acting, and of course, he's the frontman of the band. He's gonna carry the movie if he has to, which he kind of does. But the other members of the band, I'm thinking Chris and Nate, they do a pretty solid job acting as well too. And Pat and Rami, like, they're not the best actors, but I kind of feel their parts were specifically written to do very specific things in the movie. Like, Rami has this kind of, maybe if he's like this in real life, but it's kind of like a weird sound, kind of like energy crystal kind of guy vibe. If he's like that in real life, hey, no problem. But it just really felt like his role was written to be that specific character so that he can interact with other characters in a specific way to move the plot forward. And it just didn't feel very genuine, and it felt very like, okay, come on, we get it. We know what this guy is here to do. He's here to do X, Y, and Z for this movie. Which all movies have characters like that. But if they're written well, or if they're able to be put in scenes where it really elevates that performance, then we don't seem to mind. But again, we only have like two locations this entire movie is written in and filmed in. So it just isn't received the best. Apart from these elements though, the idea of the movie sounds good, but it just isn't really executed that well. The basic plot of the movie is that the Foo Fighters need to deliver their 10th album. Their record label, their manager's like, hey, we need this album because we gotta make money. The label, the manager, they need money. So they're pushing the Foo Fighters to make the album, and the Foo Fighters want to make the album in a special place because it's their 10th album, like how Led Zeppelin made Led Zeppelin 4. So the manager sets them up in this house to make the album. And this house is where a couple of rock stars in the 90s passed away. And the rock band that died in this house was specifically made up for this movie and is called Dream Widow. As the band moves into the house, they start to discover it's creepy, it might be kind of haunted, there are ghosts, there's weird people, and eventually Dave Grohl gets possessed by a demon. And he has to finish the record that Dream Widow essentially started in order to regain this demon's full strength. And in this process, he's pushing all the band members to finish recording the song, which is like 45 minutes long. They don't even have one track. It's just that one track that's 45 minutes long. and he pushes the band members to finish the song. As they finish their parts, he starts to take them out one by one, either by killing them, sometimes by eating them, and trying to get them to help him get to full strength. In the end, Pat and Nate are the only two left, and they try to exorcise this demon at Dave Grohl. It goes horribly wrong, and it turns out that the record label is in on it the entire time. The record label takes out Pat and Nate, and they tell Dave, hey, the devil owns rock and roll. He always has. And rock and roll is not in the best of spots right now. It's not doing too hot. So we want you to start your solo career and kill the rest of your band members. And that's what he does. Everyone in the band dies. Dave Grohl starts his solo career, and he's possessed by this demon or the devil the entire time that he's in his solo career. And the movie just ends right there. So a large portion of the movie is really just Dave taunting his bandmates and then essentially trying to get them to record the song and then kill them. So it's not really a movie about where the band's going to come together and they're going to conquer demons and stuff. It's really just Dave being evil and torturing everyone else in the Foo Fighters. And it's funny in concept, but for like an hour and 45 minutes, it's way too long. This movie should have barely been 70 minutes, maybe like 80 or 90 minutes. But this movie is an hour and 45 minutes long, which is just too long for this movie. I got kind of bored just having Dave torment everyone in the band. Like, it's funny at times, but if you're watching for like plot or for it to like, be interesting, it's not. It's just Dave tormenting the rest of the Foo Fighters. It's funny in concept, and if you like kind of like bad, scary horror movies, like it's a fun thing to watch, to kind of like laugh at or poke fun at. But really, it's just not like anything is going to keep you engaged if you're looking for a story, at least. Which I wasn't necessarily looking for a story when I started watching this. I was just hoping that the Foo Fighters were going to come together and fight evil or something. But instead, one of the band members becomes evil and kills everyone else. And when they do that, it's just not done in a clever way. It's just very, here it is, on the nose, and that's it. And when you do that, it's fine. It's just do it in a shorter amount of time so I don't get bored watching it, which is what happened, just because this movie is just too long for that. And so because of the length and the writing, it just doesn't land with me. So that's why I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. Now, if the Foo Fighters were giving another chance, or if another band wanted to take the lessons that they could learn from this movie, I think they can make a really great movie. And that movie would probably cost more and have to have some additional writers. But my idea is that there's a band on tour and they're trying to escape Satan by going through all these stops on their tour, because one of the band members is the key to bringing Satan back to rule rock and roll. Very much kind of like the overall premise, or at least the ending of Foo Fighters Studio 666. But throughout the movie, the band grows together. They learn how to make weapons out of like their instruments, and they kill demons along the way. But instead of sacrificing their friends so that Satan can't come back, they actually take on Satan himself inside their friend's body and get rid of him. They get rid of Satan. They perform an exorcist, and then everyone kind of goes home and, happy ending and all that stuff. Or there doesn't have to be a happy ending, but there's just ways we can make it more interesting and kind of like more epic, but still have it be scary. But this movie just doesn't have any of that. It's just like a slow burn, scary movie with bad acting and bad writing. But again, like, they're not trying to make like an award-winning movie. They're trying to make something fun that they like, which is probably what they did. But it just seems like towards the end of the movie, they kind of gave up and said, hey, we got to wrap this up. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of money. And so that's why the ending, or at least the last 45 minutes of this movie, just doesn't really deliver for me. But it's a lesson learned. Hopefully the Foo Fighters had fun making this movie, and hopefully if other people see this movie, they can take some lessons into making their own movie a little bit better from what they've seen in this one. One thing that we did get that was pretty cool from this movie is that the band that was made up for the movie, Dream Widow, Foo Fighters, did a collaboration kind of album with this fake band. It's still the Foo Fighters. They're just posing as Dream Widow and doing like a collaboration with them, because you put an album out as Dream Widow, no one's going to know who it is. So it has to be Dream Widow and Foo Fighters. Now this album's not bad, but it's a little too heavy for me. When I'm thinking of Foo Fighters, I don't want this heavy of music. And they specifically do it like in the version of like a 90s rock or metal band, which is fine because that's their vision. It just doesn't land that well for me, because if I'm going to get additional music from a movie, I want it to be very close to what that band is doing. And when they did the metal Dream Widow aspect of it, it just didn't land for me. I'm going to go back and listen to the album a couple more times now that I've seen the movie, but I just wanted more Foo Fighters music after watching the movie, because the movie kind of let me down. And I thought, you know what? If the Foo Fighters have at least 2 or 3 good songs on some sort of soundtrack that accompanied the movie, then I'll call it good. But it's not the Foo Fighters, it's Dream Widow. So again, kind of another letdown for me personally. But what did you guys think? Did you like Studio 666? Have you seen it? If you haven't seen it, maybe don't waste your time unless you really like funny, scary, like bad horror movies, because Halloween's coming up. Might be a good time just to throw one on in the background and enjoy it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.